CQ, 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 CQ. This is November 1, Zulu Papa Victor, calling CQ on 20 meters and listening.
Okay, I'm here with Joan Hildreth, W1DLC. She's the treasurer and secretary of the Ellsworth Amateur Wireless Association here in the state of Maine. Joanne, you're one of the most enthusiastic hams I know locally when it comes to club events, especially when it comes to portable operations. What's the draw there? What's the excitement?
Well, it's funny because I was just I was preparing for this interview and doing a lot of reflecting on the evolution of my interest. And I think for me, one of the things that really stands out is I am a lifelong learner, and I love engaging in experiences, the outdoors. I just enjoy learning new things and participating, and it's what keeps me going. And ham radio really has provided me with so many opportunities just to my personality to meet my my needs. So I think that's really it. That enthusiasm you see is just that lifelong learning.
Yeah, and ham radio sure does provide that opportunity for lifelong learning. There's so many aspects of it. I don't think, I doubt there's any, and I've said this before, I doubt there's any single ham that's mastered every part of ham radio. There's just so much of it.
Oh my gosh, I was looking back over the decades, and it has been decades. I was licensed in 1977, but each decade brought new and different opportunities because of what was happening in life at the time. When I was raising my young kids, I wasn't as active. But then in the 90s is when things really changed for me. It's when I started, I wanted to build something. And this was before kits really were available, and you had to order all of your parts. And I remember ordering through Ocean State Radio out of Rhode Island. And I mean, I had no experience soldering, reading circuits. So but I wanted to build something. So it was the breadboard, model. So I had a piece of copper and I tried to read the circuit, and I ended up with a mass of all of these components all soldered together. Of course, it never worked, but I mean, and then things evolved. I think I built another kit where I had to order everything. It was a 40 meter crystal control, but I believe after my father looked at it and said, well, you don't have this connected right, you don't have that connected right, but I actually did make contact with it. And that is, and also in the 90s, I got into satellites. It was the Russian satellites, and I actually RS-10. I was just looking at my my notes and my records, and I made 2 contacts through RS-10. It was the uplink was, let's see, I just wrote that down. I think it was 10 meters. It was 29 megahertz, and it came down on 2 meters. And I don't even remember now what I was using for equipment, but that was such a big thrill back then in the 90s, because of course the software was, it was pretty, I was able to follow the satellite and, listen for the beacon. So that was quite a thrill.
And now you're still kit building. You've been doing those QCX kits?
Yes, I love kit building. Well, in the 90s, I built, it would have been the early 2000s. I discovered Oak Hill's research, and they weren't digital in any way. They were just nice, well-built kits. So I built a 20 meter and a 40 meter, and they were putting out about 4 watts. But I made a lot of contacts on my 20 meter, and I still take it out now and use it.
Yeah.
In fact, I took it up Scudic Mountain last October for my first soda adventure. And I didn't make any contacts, but Rob was telling me that I don't know what it is, the DX watch or something where your signal is reported if it's heard. Well, someone over in Eastern Europe heard me calling CQ on that little Oak Hills research. So
Yeah.
and then I built this DM2 antenna tuner because I needed an antenna tuner to take up the mountain. So I built that. It's just been a lot of fun. A lot of Dad and I in the 90s, we had a lot of time to spend together. So we worked a lot of November sweepstakes.
Yeah. Now your father was a ham. What was his call sign?
His call sign was W1 Delta Lima Charlie.
Oh, that's why you got it. That makes sense.
That's why I got it. And I think he passed away in 2005. But it wasn't until 2018 or 19 that I took the call. I didn't feel worthy of it. I mean, I held him in such high esteem that I just felt, I didn't feel that I was worthy of that call. Yeah. And then at some point I came to my senses and said, well, no one else can get this call, so I have to get it. Yeah. And just use it with so much pride now. Yeah.
And you're obviously having fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I am having a lot of fun. Yeah. Worked winter field day, set up out in the sauna this past winter, working, well, I'm still working sweepstakes, the North American QRP CW Club. I've worked challenges, 13 Colonies event. I worked that for the first time last year. Got the clean sweep.
There you go. Yeah.
Just, I'm just having fun.
Yeah. You know, and on the kit building, it's amazing to me that if you, depending on your which band you select on those QCX kits or any kit, and your antenna, if you know CW, if you know the Morse code, you can work the world with these little tiny inexpensive kits.
Oh yeah. The problem is, the problem is the speed. I don't know. I think I'm averaging like 12 to 13 words a minute, and so many of the hams are above that it's hard to find. You have to really increase your speed if you're going to work them, or find someone really patient.
Or if you're going to do contests and stuff, I think. But I mean, I'm about the same speed, and I've been having a blast with my my new straight key here and all that. And I've just been going 10 to 15 words a minute at the max. Yeah, making a lot of people slow down and work you.
Yeah.
Don't try to get into field day with that, though. You got to run over. You get run over.
I can't do that. But yeah.
So, what are you? How are clubs important to you? You've been a longtime member of the Ellsworth Club.
Oh my gosh. I have been pretty much a solo operator most of my life. I've done most of my building, most of my experiences have been not with a club, and I'm basically a pretty shy person. So, and it's a mostly male-dominated field, and I think if I had to force, I knew I wanted to join a club, and I had to really force myself to go to an Ellsworth Club meeting, and it wasn't easy. I was just so shy. I didn't know anybody. I'm an introvert. But so I went a couple times, and I made myself go back, and everyone was so nice. And then I met Evie, and we just hit it off, and because she was ready to retire after being the secretary for 33 years. And I said, well, I'll give it a try, but I'm going to need some help. And she said, well, I feel like a Cub Scout leader, and these are my little boys, and I take care of them. And I remember saying, well, I'm not I'm not a den leader. I'm not, I'm not going to be, but it's turned out that way because I love the guys in the club, and you made a comment the other day about finding some letters that you had written when you were in high school, and how physically you've matured, but mentally you're still, the teenager. Well, that's the way I feel about the guys.
Yeah.
I taught fifth grade for years, and I just love the boys. I love the way they think, the way they interact. They just, they don't hold back. They just have fun. And,
Right. Yeah.
if you don't know how to do something, you just jump in and try to make it work. And that's what I love about the club. It's just.
It's a good group. It's a good group.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you made a comment that ham radio is pretty much a male dominated hobby, which, if you look at numbers, certainly is. I think I saw some figure that 15% are YLs and the rest are OMs. What do you have any ideas on how we could change that? How could we, what kind of advice to, prospective YLs coming into the hobby, or what can we do to make it more welcoming?
Well, we have to find them first. We have to find young, well, when you were working down in the summer camp that you had, and I came down and helped a couple days. They were building kits, and there was some girls there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if somehow if we can connect with those girls, provide them with a mentor, and we can hook some of them, but they need a lot of support. They need other girls, other women, because it's not easy being in a male-dominated, hobby. We don't see. Well, I can only speak for myself, but I didn't come into this with a lot of knowledge about electronics or, so I think one of the things that is exciting for me is to learn how it works. And in the contacts, I was looking back through my logs, and a lot of my contacts, I wrote down nice guy, very patient. So it's more about that. Well, for me, and maybe for other, girls too, it's more about that interpersonal connection rather than racking up a lot of, points or contacts. Right. But, I remember when we were at camp, I don't know, been years ago, probably 20 years ago, but I worked a guy who was a paraplegic, and I was so moved by that, and so I think for some of us, it's a lot of it is the human connection and not just the technology of it and the.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the social element of ham radio, is that human connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you find my call sign back there, and next to it was Bonehead?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned too is during periods when you're raising your kids and thing, and this happens to guys too, where they're very busy raising a family and have a career, so they're not as active. I wonder if there's something that we can, as clubs, can do to still let them participate, realizing they're not going to be able to get in there, full force and participate in everything, but just to keep them on the air and keep them involved in the hobby.
Yeah, those are all great points, Phil. And that's a whole other aspect that I think as a club, we could really look at, how to get the young people, but for me, it would be more than just young people, how to get the girls involved. Are you going to run that camp this again down there in
not
Cherryfield?
Beach Cliff, but we probably are going to do one in Cherryfield at the Edge Camp.
Yeah. See, I would like to come and help, and if we can get some girls, at least it opens their eyes to something. And I think we need to do something because it's going to be a dying art. Because technology, digital is really taking over, and a lot of, I know I could care less about digital, and I think
that FTH, one of the most, it is the most popular mode right now in ham radio, but I've never done it yet.
Yeah, no, I read that. I don't know. I think just basic little kit building so that the kids can see that what the little parts are, and just keep it simple, but give them the opportunity for an adventure, and hopefully you hook one, you know.
I'm not sure we're going to do the soldering and kits thing this year. They're trying to make up their mind how, because this will be the first year going back if they do it because of COVID-19. This will be the first year back in a couple of years, and they're talking about maybe an abbreviated one, but we'll definitely do like a fox hunt. Only we do a zombie hunt. I have a hidden transmitter and a zombie mask, and my granddaughter runs out, hides it out in one of the trails.
Oh yeah.
And the kids, we did that last time. They had a blast.
Oh my gosh, that'd be fun.
Running around with HTs that I programmed to make sure they wouldn't transmit. But they had control operaters anyways, but yeah. Well,
Phil, you have that enthusiasm too. And it's just lovely to see you spending so much time trying to help the kids and, exposing them to it. It's great.
Well, that's the thing. We expose them to it now, and they may not get their ham ticket for 20 years, but maybe that memory will come back, and then they'll end up getting their ticket at some point. But
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What other parts of aspects of ham radio do you enjoy? Are there any particular modes or bands or anything?
Well, I'm mostly I operate single side band in the contests. I love contesting. I love challenges. I love competing. So of course, field day, sweepstakes, well, the ones that I've just recently mentioned, the New England QSO.
We got that coming up.
Yeah, we've got that. So otherwise, if it's not competition or a challenge, it's CW.
Right.
I just like getting on and making, and it's, I did build a 6-meter antenna last year for, I can't remember what the event was, but I'll set it up field day. Just building it was so much fun, it was just, geez, I had some copper tubing and, it was just all that basic cutting and soldering. And it's like, that's almost more fun than it is.
You really like the hands-on stuff, making things.
Yes. I'm so glad I joined the club because I really like being net control. I'm not one to get on and talk, but so checking in, it's like, well, okay, well, what did you do today? I like controlling it because I don't have to share, but I can, I like listening to the other guys and, responding. And so that's been a huge step, to take that leap to be net control.
I think I'd like to see more people do it because there's not a lot. I mean, it's just jump in there and do it, and people, you'll make mistakes, but hey, that's how you learn.
Right. It's not that difficult. Maybe we could even practice at a club meeting, where it isn't on the air. Just give someone a chance to pretend they're leading a net. I don't know, but we do need more net controls.
Okay. What would make ham radio even more fun for you? Is there something that the club could do or ham radio community could do that would make it more fun?
Well, I think you've got the Sunday gatherings that you had during the winter, and I don't think I went because for several years I went to Florida.
Right.
But those I think would be a lot of fun, especially for someone who is building something or wants to build something, just wants to learn how to do something.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of that you'd like to
Well, I
share
wanna
with us?
I want to share something.
Yeah.
Back in really something special. Oh, it was the New England QSO party last year. I worked this guy in Wisconsin, and his call sign was W9AVM. And he, on his card, he said, in memory of my dad, Harold, who he was a Navy CW instructor in Madison in World War II.
Yeah.
But he took his father's call. Now when he wrote this, he was 86. Last year, he would have been 86 years old.
Yeah.
So he took his father's call sign, and I had told him during a contact that I had taken my father's call sign. And he went through his father's stuff, and he had a call sign, a QSL card that his father got in 1932.
Wow.
From my father. And it was Dad's first Wisconsin contact. And it was this guy's, his name was Harold. It was his first Maine contact. But this is the original QSL card from 1932. But not only that, he sent me a picture of his father's station back in 1932. And there are only like maybe a half a dozen QSL cards up there.
Right.
But one of them is Dad's QSL card, W1DLC, which it just shows you how I'm connected to this man whose father was connected to my father. And
isn't that something?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just so touched by this.
Yeah.
And I just feel my father's presence in everything I do in radio.
Yeah.
He started here in Hancock. So
Right.
he was actually 17 years old here
Yeah.
in Hancock when he made that contact.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's just really special.
Yeah. All right. That's really special. That's I mean, that's just kind of mind blowing if you think about it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I really appreciate your asking to interview me. I'm glad I can share my story, and I'm very grateful to be part of the club and know you guys and be welcomed.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for coming on and sharing your ham radio experiences with us. Really appreciated.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joanne. Appreciate it.
Okay, Phil. Yeah, take care. Yeah, bye.
This is WB1ARU calling the Yankee Lassies Net. This net's open to all YLs who can hear me, and you are welcome to join in. I have KA1ULN on the list, and who else is ready to check in? W1JX. Good morning, Bobby. WA1YZP. Good morning, Joy.
Start then. Hello, we're here with my guest, Ann, WB1ARU. And Ann runs a couple of YL nets and is also, I believe, secretary of a big YL organization. Could you tell us about that?
The Young Ladies Radio League is, excuse me, been in existence for 90 years, I think it is, close to it. Let's see. Was founded in 1939. So
about 82 years, I think.
We've been around quite a while.
Yeah.
And we have membership in all across the United States, Canada, and worldwide. We support women. We're kind of a network for women in the hobby, of which we're a significant minority, as you well know. We have England states. I know you're especially interested in Maine, so we have several members in Maine. I think you know some of them. And I've been actively involved with the group since I was first licensed, I believe. So we have some nets, as you mentioned, and we have a newsletter that comes out 6 times a year, and just a great group.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I know a few of them, Bobby, W1JX and Joy, WA1 YZV, and you know, perhaps some more. I don't know how many more are involved, but now as far as the YLRL in your nets, do you have to be a member to check into the net? Excuse me.
No, well, there's also a New England group of women radio operators. It's called Women Radio Operators of New England.
Mm.
And if you take the letters, it's WRONE, and we call ourselves ROAN. And we have a net on Wednesday mornings on 75. It's open to all YLs who can hear us. We sometimes have check-ins from New York, frequently from New York, and occasionally from New Jersey. But otherwise, it's the 6 New England states. Oh, Canada sometimes as well. So
Is that the one that you call the young lassies?
the Yankee lassies.
Yankee lassies. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And that meets at 8:30 on Wednesday mornings. So not accessible for everybody, but there's a pretty good core group.
Yeah. And you've been net control. How long have you been doing that?
Off and on for years. When I was working, I couldn't be a regular because I was a teacher, and so I wasn't around on Wednesday mornings, but vacations and summers, occasional took a turn at net control. But after I retired, I started being active net control, and we have a rotation. There are 3 of us that rotate through the month and take turns.
I see you're a net control on a 20-meter one late in the evening as well. Is that run all year round?
Yes, and it's not really a net. It's we call it the YL Meetup, and what it is an announcement of a frequency where YLs are going to look for each other, and people keep considering me the net control, but I'm trying to get the message out that if you get on, if you're a YL and you hear another YL, give them a call, throw out a CQYL and kind of a meetup frequencies, you know, look for YLs. We're going to be on at that time on Wednesday nights. And it is purposely late on at 9 o'clock Eastern time so that it's not too early in the afternoon for the West Coast.
Did you say 9 o'clock Eastern?
Yes. Okay. And we keep the same time year round because that makes it 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So, and actually we've been on 40 meters more than we've been on 20 because 20 has been non-existent at night. Although I got great hopes up last Wednesday night. I kept watching the waterfall on the radio and it was hopping. 20 meters was busy. 8:35, it all disappeared.
So now the 20-meter frequency is 14 what?
14,288, unless it's not free, but around that. We don't have any lock on the frequency, of course, but yeah, that's kind of a YL frequency worldwide. A starting point frequency is 14.288, and that's been going on for quite a while. British YL started that idea years and years and years ago, and it's kind of stuck. So
yeah, and the 40-meter one, and you get 40 meters, you get on every night as well.
No, it's again Wednesday nights.
Oh, Wednesday nights.
All of the 20 and 40 are both Wednesday. That frequency usually around 195, someplace 194, 195. Wherever we can find a shoehorn in a spot. Last Wednesday night, everybody was trying to work the last man standing station. And it was a massive pileup. I just gave up. I gave up on working any YLs and worked him instead.
There you go. All right. And so now, what do the YL nets and the people who check into them, what do they mean to you personally?
Oh, friendship, really friendship. People, gals that I've talked to for years, gals that I've just met. It's just been a wonderful way to get to know people, and ham radio is many things, so many components of it. Everybody finds their niche, and my niche has been making friends and travel.
Yeah. And you get to like a lot of times on 75 meters, all the nets, we all get together at HamFest when there's no pandemic and we can have a HamFest, and we get to meet all these people that we've talked to all the through the years. Do you get to do that as well with the YL community?
Yes, often, whenever. Boxborough, or whatever its new name is, which New England Ham Exposition, or whatever its new name is,
Yeah.
we always have a table or a booth, and we always have a gathering time, a forum, or just a drop in meet. When go to Dayton, it's the whole YLRL community at Dayton, Xenia, whatever. We have a forum and a booth, and there, all of the big ham fests have something, whether it's Huntsville or Orlando, or all of them, and Deerfield too. Some people go to I have not personally gone to Deerfield, but some YLs do. So
Yeah. So now, are there, you said that the YLs is a small group compared to the male part of the amateur, and I read something about 15% of hams of U.S. hams are YLs, but not necessarily 15% that actually get on the air and get active, and sometimes there's impediments that keep some people off the air or becoming active. Have you noticed? Is there any message you can say to to the male community? Is there anything they can do or not do to encourage more women to get involved?
it's funny you should ask that. I have not personally had a lot of bad experiences. I've had a few, but I just read a note from a YL from over the weekend. She was attempting to work the contest, the big DX CQDX contest, and she was doing pretty well until an operator started basically jamming her and following her on the frequency with whistles and noises, and drove her off. She fortunately, I think, is a confident enough operator that she will not be dissuaded. But for some women, that's it. They just don't pick up the microphone again.
Right.
And of course, CW is an avenue that some YLs have taken to, because you're kind of anonymous. And FT8 has gotten very popular because you really can't tell unless you look somebody up.
Yeah.
You can't tell. There's no voice to identify them. And for that matter, how many times have you worked a young fellow on a contest and thought you were talking to a YL? So voices aren't a sure bet. But I think what I would say is, the women have just as much right and interest in being on the air as the guys. And, there are just as many technically oriented YLs out of the population, I think. I know a lot I'm not very technically oriented myself, but I do know a lot of YLs who are, and very capable and very interested in antenna design and radios and all of that, really figuring things out, amplifiers and so forth. And I'm sure there are many guys who could care less about that sort of thing. So I think it's very unfair to characterize women as only being appliance operators and the guys being all technical, because I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of folks, guys that aren't technical at all. And but yeah, very good. If there's do you have a message that you would like to convey to women or girls coming into the hobby or whatever? Is there any message that you have for them?
Stick with it. Look for a friendly club that will welcome you locally, or a friendly operator who will support you, either male or female. Unfortunately, some clubs are not very welcoming. But find a club that wants you there. Try out different things. Try field day. That's,
Yeah.
almost everybody enjoys field day. Don't get stuck making the dinner and the coffee. Grab the microphone.
Exactly. Yep.
Offer to log for somebody to get your feet wet if you're not sure, if you're not confident. I know everybody computer logs, but it doesn't hurt to have a second pair of ears listening.
Mm.
And it's a good way to get the feel of how it works. I guess, look for, get in touch with Young Ladies Radio League or Roan, the New England group, depending on where you live, and find somebody that lives near you that will support you in the hobby.
Yeah. And two questions related to what you just said. One is the, are there YLMers out there for other
Absolutely.
YLs?
Yep. Sometimes they call themselves the Elmiras.
Oh, okay. So, so if someone, some new ham, female ham was interested in, needed help, there's somewhere they can go other to some, old guy like me.
Well, there's nothing wrong with finding an old guy like you or a young guy like you to help out. But certainly contacting either of those organizations through their webpage will lead you to somebody who will probably find a contact for you if possible, or look around and find somebody, because there are gals out there who are ready and willing to help.
Right. And the other thing you mentioned, that some clubs aren't very welcoming. Why is that? Or what kind of behavior are they doing that makes you feel that way?
Not including, lack of inclusion, or expecting that you're going to be the one who makes the coffee or cooks the whatevers, brings the cookies or something like that, which is fine. Some women like to make the coffee and bring the cookies, but some guys like to bake too. So yeah, I don't think expecting, it's the same thing that's true everywhere. Expecting that because you're a female that you're going to want to make the coffee and bring the cookies is not really fair.
Right. Right.
They come to operate, they come to learn more about the hobby, they come to share the hobby and not sit in the corner and listen.
Right. And that attitude is not just ham radio either too, right? Because I've been along a lot of groups and it's a similar pattern.
I think, like many aspects of our society, there are things that have been traditional that people need to wake up and say, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture.
Right. You have every right to enjoy the operating and stuff as, and as anyone else. So, so what else besides your involvement in the YL groups? What kind of ham radio activities do you enjoy doing?
Well, I do like to get on the nets and talk with the same people that I've talked to before. I also, I enjoy contesting on a limited basis. Once I get into a contest, I'm gung-ho, but deciding to set aside the time for it is my big problem. I just don't, think I've got too many other irons in the fire to always get on. I did work one recently that's sponsored by the Young Ladies Radio League called the YLOM contest, which, as I told people when I talked to them, it's the most fun unknown contest going, because the guys work the gals and the gals work the guys, and
that's interesting. Yeah,
it's a fun little contest, and it's not a lot of restrictions on it. And of course I'm a field day fanatic. I love field day. So I like to, that's one of my parts. And like I said, the friendships I've made and the travel that I've been able to do because of ham radio, places I never thought I would ever have an opportunity to go because of ham radio, I've been to.
Right. And that's my favorite part of the hobby too, just the social aspect. I've made friends all over certainly all over Maine and even beyond. And now your involvement with YL and your travel, have you made a lot of friends like outside the country that way as well?
Yeah, because of my involvement with Young Ladies Radio League and going to places like Dayton and so forth, and getting to know talking to some of the gals on the air and so forth. When there was a big, the European gals were sponsoring what they called the YL Meet every 2 years in a different country. And they kept saying, Ian, you've got to come, you got to come. So finally, when I retired, we went to Munich was the first one, and made a trip out of it and went to several countries, and my husband went along too and had a wonderful time. And then it was like, well, next we're going to Australia. It was like, really? So we went to Australia.
Wow, that's amazing.
And New Zealand at the same time. So also been to Canada and Iceland and Great Britain for women's meetups, because the pandemics put the kibosh on all of that for a while. But anyway,
But those are amazing opportunities.
and plus around this country, because YLRL does have a convention every 3, 4, 5 years whenever we can. There's no hard and fast rule on it. It's usually 3 to 4 years. And I helped run one in Boston back in 2011. Yeah, I think it was. But we've had them all over, including Hawaii. When we celebrated our 50th anniversary, we went to Hawaii for the convention. But otherwise, they've been Albany, Washington, D.C., Huntsville, Cleveland, Denver, Washington State, Oklahoma. So we've been all around the country. And so you get to see another part of the country, and you get to see gals who live in that part of the country and get to meet up with them, because not everybody travels the whole country. But
Right. Well, it must be great to belong to such active groups too. That's what I like about that kind of thing. It sounds like it's a very active group, not just on the air, but off the air on different events.
right, and we have a very good online presence, which is improving all the time. So that and our dues are very reasonable. So
yeah,
affordable by most anybody.
What's that?
They're affordable by nearly everyone. So
right. What inspired you to get your ticket, your ham radio ticket?
Oh, probably what has inspired several women, or many women. My husband already had his license and had from when he was a teen. I had studied for it probably right after we got married or right before we got married, but it was the old study guides where you read the question, read the answer, read the question, read the answer. It didn't work for me at all. I gave up on it. But when they rehashed the whole thing in the mid 70s, that's when I got licensed, where they, the whole study guide became read this chapter and answer the questions about it and so forth. And that worked better for me, and I managed to pull through it. And I was a general for a very long time till I got harassed, pleasantly harassed by my friends to move up to extra.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's about all I have. Do you have any other anything else you'd like to share with us?
No. If your audience is in Maine, I'd love to have more of the Maine gals get active on the air. I think a lot of them are on 2 meters, but they're not anyplace else.
Yeah. How many check into your that 75 meter net usually
on Wednesday
from Maine?
Mornings?
From Maine,
yeah. From Maine we have 2. Joyce and
Joy and
Bobby
Bobby.
are regular. I'm trying to think. No, the other gal, she's in Durham. I'm trying to think if there's another Maine gal or not, but I can't remember. Over the years, there have been many. You can go back way back, and a lot of gals in the past. But unfortunately, many of them have become silent keys.
Yeah.
I would love to have more Maine gals checking in, or anyway. One other thing I just mentioned, there is an Echolink Net on Thursday nights just for YLs. And it's been a great support for newly licensed hams who have tech privileges, because they can get on and talk to gals all over and worldwide, actually. I've checked in, and they get enthused about talking to gals and go ahead and upgrade their licenses because of the support they're getting there. So whatever you're feeling about Echolink as a ham opportunity or a mode, I guess. I think it's not leaving people stuck there. It's encouraging people to go further.
It's like a stepping stone. Well, how would they find that on Echolink? Is there a name to it or something, or a node?
It's called the YLRL Net, and it meets on the ALARA node, which is ALARA. I don't know the numbers because I just look it up by that. That's the Australian Ladies Amateur Radio Association.
Okay.
They own the node and they let all YL groups use it.
Right.
There's also a Canadian node, but I just remember the VTT. I can't remember all of it, which is also a YL node. I think the Canadian ladies sponsor that one.
Yeah.
And they have a net during the day. I'm not sure what time it is, but that ALARA net on Wednesday nights is at 8:30 Eastern time.
Thursday night?
Thursday night, 8:30.
8:30 Eastern
time. And it runs, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
I'll sound stupid here. 8 to 9:30, but you don't have to be there the whole time. You don't have to check in right at the beginning. It's wide open. People come and go as their schedules permit.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have check-ins worldwide, so some of them are just getting up in the mornings.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a great group. There's a couple gals down in Georgia that run it, and it's open to any YL. And as she says in her intro each week, we don't mind if the guys listen, but transmissions by YLs only. So.
All right. Well, I thank you very much, Ann, for agreeing to the interview, and it sounds like you have a really great group there, and hopefully it will keep growing.
Well, we hope so too. And like I said, look us up. Anybody can look us up online by the name of the group, and you'll find contact information.
Yeah.
And some of it runs right back to me. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, you too. I'm here with my guest, Joy Foss, K1SEW from, was it Burnham?
Yep.
Yep, Burnham, Maine. And Joy, you hold a leadership position in the Maine's AWRL section. Could you tell us what that is?
Well, I do, I'm the AWRL Maine section public information coordinator. And what I do is get all the news that I can and post it onto the computer so people can read it. And also on the webpage, people can go on the AWRL site and look at the information as well.
Right, and there's a lot of good information on there. Could you tell us some of the examples of what kind of information is on that webpage?
Sure, I list club meetings and testing dates, the sessions. That's always very important. And I've had a lot of people emailing me from the webpage looking for information, trying to contact somebody, and also looking for test sessions and dates and times.
And it's a lot of good information: Hamfest, test sessions, bulletins, announcements, special announcements. So it's a really good one-stop place for getting all the information to do with Maine ham radio and important information. And yeah, in fact, you'll be getting information on the Hamfest very shortly. The Herman Hamfest is going to happen, and it's going to be at a different location.
Oh,
Jerry said K1GUP said he'd send you the information, so you'll be getting that shortly.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did miss the Hamfest last year because of the virus.
Right.
And I'm glad to hear that we're getting a couple. Windsor is going to be happening as well this year. And I post all that information, cancellations. Now during an emergency, the webpage does have a section for announcements just for the emergency. And it will post that paragraph right on top of other announcements. You see the emergency stuff right away.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's great. How long have you been the public information coordinator?
Oh, wow. It's been at least 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
8 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And with the announcement, I get,
yeah, go ahead.
with announcements, I have a extremely great helper, and we work together on a lot of issues, and that's Kira. And so she will do some of the announcements on some of the webs as well. And she does give me some news, but mostly it's from the clubs in the AWRL or, you know, the other officers in the state of Maine.
Right. Yeah. That was your audio broke up a little bit. That's Carol, K1KDX.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And and these bulletins and exam sessions and all that, they get read on a lot of nets within Maine. And one thing, a very valuable asset we had, and sometimes you don't realize how valuable it is until it goes away. And that's the linked repeater system is not functioning at the moment, but I hear that's going to be restored. There's plans to restore that in the coming months, and that's a great place to read bulletins. And I've heard you on there as well as Carol reading bulletins. Isn't that right?
Yes. And sometimes when it was on the link system, there was a lot of people chatting on and rag chewing on the link system. And I hear their questions, the test session or a hamfest coming up, and I'll be able to get on the radio and give their personal attention as well. So I do miss them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully that will be back up in operation in a few months. I know there are plans to get it going, so that would be great. What are your other ham radio interests?
Mm-hmm.
What are your other ham radio interests besides, you know, the public service and the public information coordinator? Do you do any other ham radio activity?
I do 2 meters mainly, but I have used SSTV. And we used to have a net on link that was for the pictures that we would send back and forth with the radio. And it was a lot of fun. We had a group going there, and I enjoyed it tremendously. But sadly, that one ended up ending,
Slow scan
just
TV?
like our Elmanet.
Yeah, slow scan TV. Is that what you said?
Yeah, slow scan TV.
Yeah, I've even downloaded.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've downloaded ones from the space station before. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I enjoy hearing what other people are doing, and if I can, and it's noteworthy and everything on the webpage, then I can add it to it. Well, Carol and I both, we go over everything, and we do it by email, but we also read off that if they have questions or if they have links, they can email me and I'll send it to them. Or if they have questions, I can send their answers to them.
All right, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any anything else you'd like to share with us regarding ham radio in Maine?
Yeah, ham radio has been invaluable to me. I was stuck in a snowstorm, a really bad snowstorm, come back from Bangor, and they have huge steep hills on that road. And before I hit the road, I had about 4 ham on to make sure I safely made it home in all the snow, and they talked to me all the way down, breaking up the times and everything, because it was a 45-minute drive. And then I was in an accident, a car accident, and I had gone into a ditch. My cell phone did not work, and I was able to get on HamRadio and get 2 hams, and they called the AAA for me and everything, and they made sure that I got out just safely. And then on the 12 County Net, that ham wanted to know an update on the woman that had called in, and so I did notify him that I was indeed okay, and it was thanks to him that I was.
Well, that's great. That's one thing about ham radio. And a lot of times the cell phones don't work if you're in a bad area, and hams are always willing to help out. Isn't that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. They do a lot of supporting of the charities with being checkpoints and everything. And I like being able to bring that information to everybody so they can see. And there's nets for getting the kids on the air, the Boy Scouts and everything, with a space station in the classroom with a teacher. So there's a lot of different aspects out there, including CW, and you can pick any of them or all of them. Your choice on what's interesting to you.
There's something for everybody in ham radio, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Joy, for coming on and talking with us. I do appreciate it, and I look forward
You're
to
welcome.
talking to you on the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll catch you on the 8.5 machine sometime.
Okay.
Okay. 7-3.
You 7-3.
Bye-bye.
Figures 15993. No answer to voicemail. Initial X-ray. Message sent via letter group Uniform Sierra Papa Sierra break November 1 Delta Oscar Uniform and no more. Roger. Thanks, Marcia. Thank you, Jim. And that's it for you today. You're free to secure from the net. And we'll see you later. KW1U. All right.